Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sugarcoat The Podcast. I am your lovely, if I may say so myself, host, Hayat. And today I have two new guests, not just one, and I'm very excited to introduce them. So I have Glow and I have Shar. Glow, do you want to start off with introducing yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Glow, aka GLOWINY on Instagram. I am the host of Chirpse Hurts podcast. I am a content creator, writer, performance poet, show host, events host, model scout, sometimes model, singer-songwriter, all-around bad bitch. And I'm really happy to be here. This has been a long time coming.
A long time coming. Actually, fun fact, my first ever podcast episode was with Glow, and we recorded that in my messy ass living room.
On my shitty 40-pound mic.
We had Casey pull up at the end. Like, that was my first ever podcasting experience.
We were both hungover down. Like.
Out of our assholes. So yeah, it was a good one though. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And Shar, don't be shy.
Hi, I'm Shar, also known as Sharlula online. That's me everywhere. I'm co-host of Chirpse Hurts. I'm an artist and poet. I animate, and I'm just out here doing my little thing.
Out here, okay. I want to give you guys a special fun fact because I never actually share one. Okay. And this isn't even just about me, but all three of us are Ugandan.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, big up. Are you fully Ugandan? I'm fully Ugandan.
I'm fully Ugandan.
I'm half.
Do you know what? Tell a lie though. I'm 3/4.
Why?
Around these as well. But I don't really, that's like a tiny bit. I just say I'm Ugandan because I don't want to sound them people there talking about claiming the quarter, but yeah.
Okay, well, obviously I'm going to kick it off with two truths, no lies, which is two fun facts. Glow, do you want to kick it off?
Fun facts. Fuck. I'm on the spot now. Fun facts. One, I have an eidetic memory. Well, eidetic memories aren't real, so that's photographic memory. They're not actually real. It's less about...
What do you mean they're not real?
So they're not real in the way that we think they are. You don't remember things picture perfectly.
Okay. It's
more about how your brain stores memory. So like, yes, I have great memory recall. Like, if Shar was looking for something to wear for a night out, I'll be like, what about this outfit that you wore on this specific date from like 3 years ago, and it had these details, and like we did this thing. So it's like... very detailed, but like not photographic.
Yeah. Okay.
But my ADHD kind of scrambles it up.
Okay.
Second fun fact. What's funnel? Fuck.
Do you want us to go to Shar and come back to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shit, I was hoping that you would just.
Shar, fun fact. Let's go.
A fun fact about me. A fun fact.
Go on, girl. You can do it.
This is your podcast. How about you give a fun fact so I can see what the vibe
I asked
is.
the question.
Is it?
I don't give them.
Is it? Fun fact?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is actually really difficult.
What are you, like, left-handed or something? I don't know.
I don't feel that's not fun. I'm right-handed. Everyone's right-handed.
Oh, fuck. I'm not.
Oh, really?
That's my fun fact.
Oh, damn, that's crazy. I'm anemic.
Okay. Same.
Everyone's anemic these days.
Everyone's anemic.
Every East African person is anemic.
Yeah, I'm anemic. I feel like it's just every woman. I think it's like to do with periods.
Period.
Yeah.
Want to eat me out my period?
I genuinely, I can't think of anything. I don't think I have fun.
How tall are you? I don't know.
Fun fact is I'm actually just below 5'10", but I tell everyone that I'm 5'11" because men lie about their height, so I seem taller than I am. And I'm also always in shoes which give me like half an inch or an inch. So sometimes I get away with saying that I'm 6 foot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that for you.
I'm not as tall as everyone thinks.
These fun facts aren't fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it's okay.
I'm
Glow,
sorry.
where's your second fun fact?
My second fun fact is that I have kissed over 300 people.
How the fuck do you know that?
Way.
How the fuck do you know that?
That makes sense though, because you're teenage years.
Yeah. So
wait, what does that mean?
You know, like, because I just know what you like.
So the real fun fact is that I used to like go to a lot of parties as a teenager. I mean, not much has changed, but I used to host a lot as well. And parties is a strong word because they were mostly like gatherings in commons and parks. But I remember there was one where I'd invited like over like 300 people on Facebook, because this is when Facebook events were a thing.
Oh yeah.
So like I would say like throughout the night about 180 came, like obviously in different time periods, and then me and my friends had the like absolute disgusting idea to do like a competition of how many people we could kiss in one night. So see, saying this like post-COVID sounds
yeah,
crazy,
that's
but,
actually wild.
Yeah, I think I did 46 in the night.
And then just live. Do you know what, that actually tracks? 300 is not that much.
So yeah, like I got most of like
because considering your kids, people.
Yeah, like I love kissing. Kissing is my favorite sport. Like that's one thing I will never give up.
Really?
Yeah. If
No,
I'm
this
married,
one
I'm
loves.
not- No, I love
when we go
kissing.
out, this one's just like I just want lips. I don't
Sometimes
care
I go
anything
out
else.
to 2 lips. Like if
Crazy.
you see me outside,
Crazy.
I promise you, I all I want is a little kiss.
Yeah, that's all. Literally all we're ever waiting for.
Un poquito besito. Like, what do you mean?
I just, it's such like an intimate like mingling of like, it's like, you know in Avatar when they connect their hair, that's what kissing's like to me. Like, it's not even always
Spiritual.
sexual. It's just like we are sharing a moment.
Wow.
Yeah, like
So you support club lip sync?
I am a champion of club lip
Okay,
sync.
cool. Because same.
Thank you, because I feel like there's a lot of stigma against
Go on,
lip sync in
no,
the club,
man. Everyone's
but-
a club lips. Just make sure they don't like have something under their mouth. And then
Fine.
club lips away. Fuck it. Well, okay. Moving swiftly on, I'm going to go to my section of the podcast called Sugar Free, and I want to talk about SZA. I want to talk about her because I cannot wait until the day she drops this album. Like, do you know what? Here once tweeted that she can't listen to SZA anymore because she feels like she's manifesting problems.
Please,
I feel the opposite where I'm just like, I need to listen to SZA so that I know that she's going through what I'm going through. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like every time she's dropped a song or an album, well, not every time she dropped an album, Control was however many years ago, but she dropped Shirt, and I was like, like, what?
it's something. It just every black girl is just there's something in the
When it's
water.
just like, still stressing perfection, let you all in my mental, got me wicked too desperate. I said, no, let me stand up today.
No,
Do you
but
know
I
what
hate the
mean?
manifestation thing because words be having meanings.
It does, but it's not my words.
Yeah,
it's,
it is.
it's
It's true.
Solana's.
Sometimes
Enjoy.
banter.
It's Solana's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I hope she's all though.
It's crazy how that album though has stayed so relevant and so strong.
Yeah.
I will listen to Control like to this day. Like
Yeah.
it came when I was in school.
I know.
I'm
Has
finished
some
with
of
uni
the
and I'm working
best
now and I still
replay value
listen.
of
Yeah.
any
Crazy.
album
But I'm
ever.
kind of nervous for her though because that's a lot to follow.
No, I'm not even nervous because
Same.
every single single she's dropped has been superb.
Like
in
on par
terms
with
of-
Control.
Yeah, like genuinely.
Yeah, true.
And also the Control Deluxe, all of those songs, I was just like, okay, like we're still building the same momentum, you know? So I'm not.
There's best. It's like 23 songs in the new album.
Yeah.
innit?
Well, thank God. It's been a
a
long
lot.
time. A long time that she's been away.
I'm gassed.
Thoughts on
Why
Blind?
is Phoebe Bridgers gonna be on the album?
yeah.
I'm gassed.
Phoebe Bridges.
She's like sings like,
a white,
indie folk.
Yeah.
Like
Is she
kinda
the girl from
sad songs.
Bridgerton?
No.
No.
She just sings like sad music.
Yeah,
But
I like her.
it's just I'm just interested to see like how it's gonna mix because she has a really nice voice
And she's a crazy lyricist.
yeah, she's like her music is like poetry. Like it's good.
Oh.
It's good.
It's like two people that I wouldn't have put together.
Yeah.
But like now that I know that they're together, I know that they're gonna make a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And I'm loving how people are more excited to cross genres and experiment because everyone's like,
Yeah.
well, how is Phoebe Bridgers on here? So what? They're gonna make it work. Like that's so
Yeah.
exciting.
But do you know
I
what?
think.
I do feel like generally people don't really care too much about the genre. Like if
Yeah.
you fuck with it, you fuck with the sound. You know, like we're seeing a lot
Yeah.
of like indie/underground or alternative
Yeah.
artists now become mainstream because people
Yeah.
are less like
Yeah, people
iffy
definitely,
about
like,
the boundary.
Not me, but people used to care when we were younger. People used to be like, oh, you listen to this, you listen to that, but now everyone listens to everything.
Yeah,
No
which
one
I
cares.
love. Shout out
I
Spotify.
love it.
I believe it's Spotify.
I love
They did
it.
that.
Period. Do
Yeah.
you know who I want to see collab? It sounds so crazy.
Go on.
CK and Taylor Swift.
Interesting.
Wait. Am I
CK
thinking
as
about
in like,
no,
no,
what?
let me tell you why.
Serious.
I am a CK stand down, right?
What other song do you know?
Most of his music isn't like Afro pop. Most of his music is like Afro folk, like romantic, like soft folk. And Taylor Swift is like an amazing folk, not pop or country. But when it comes to folk, she eats lyrically and like in terms of songwriting. Like
Do you know what? I feel like I failed you guys to not have like a video element this episode because if you can see the look that I'm giving people right now.
you can hear
No,
it.
same, I'm
literally
waiting. I'm
so,
waiting.
I didn't even,
like-
I didn't even listen to Taylor like
So
that.
shut
Like,
up.
but
That
like, I
mean-
think it would be amazing. Like
Ah.
Taylor from like Safe and Sound. Anyways,
I
I'm
don't
just throwing
even-
it out there.
Listen, bro, after Love Story, I checked out. Oh, yeah.
You're missing out.
Okay, well, back to SZA. Favorite SZA song from Control?
I don't have.
Ooh, you don't have
Oh, wait, you asked us what we thought about Blind.
Yeah.
Why?
Because when
Has she released the full thing?
no, but she's done. There's full videos because she did it at SNL.
Oh, okay.
When I heard it at the end of what was it at the end of Shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, I preferred it to Shirt. But I feel like the song is building up to the last 20 seconds of the song. Like that's the part that's good. The rest is just like build up. So at first I was like, this is kind of boring. Like she's like sing rapping. She's just talking, doing poetry, and then she's like, nah, 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 I'm
Yes,
and I was like,
Yeah.
no, like that is. Oof. And when I watched the SNL, yeah, because that bit's way longer.
Yeah.
my pussy, like, at first she was just like, doing like, blah, and then she sings that, blah, blah, and I was like, yes, it's that.
Because remember those few years where everyone was calling her for her pronunciation, but it's like it's a stylistic choice.
Yeah.
Same with
Also,
Ariana.
people try to pretend that she can't proper sing.
Wait, what's Ariana's on?
Ariana, like,
way
the way she
she-
enunciates
yeah,
her words,
the way
like, it's a stylistic choice. You're not meant,
Really? I've never noticed that with Ariana Grande.
because she doesn't like she doesn't enunciate, like she
Yeah.
doesn't like.
Yeah, fair.
I like it.
That's
My
Yeah.
favorite control
Simlish.
song, I think it probably has to be, over the years, Drew Barrymore.
Really?
I think that has stuck for me. That's the one that I can really always like count on. Drew Barrymore.
I love Wavy and Broken Clocks. Yeah.
I do also love Normal Girl.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I like Normal Girl, but not in the way that she's singing it. I create my own meaning for it.
Yeah,
Because when she's singing, I'm like, girl, I don't really relate to that.
Yeah.
But I love singing like, the normal. I feel like everyone can feel like they want to be a normal girl.
Also, I'm not gonna lie, all her booty jokes in that album, babe. Like,
Someone put her on that and she was like, she said on Twitter, she was like, I did have a small booty when I wrote it.
Okay, fair.
Which is fair enough.
That's
Fair
valid.
enough. She was
That's
like,
valid.
back then. Because I'm looking at it thinking,
Baby, like, don't do that.
Before the work.
yeah.
Okay, well, recently I have been replaying 20-something, like, over and over again. Can I go through it, guys?
Sorry.
Listen, my friend
Bambi.
Lucille said that Jordan Year ain't no joke, and this Jordan Year...
I'm really scared. Everyone keeps talking about this. How 23 is like the worst year of your life. And I'm 22, by the way, for listeners. I'm 22.
Fam?
I'm scared.
23? Are you...
No, the noose around my neck is getting tighter by the second.
Really?
What the fuck?
Do you feel like it's been your worst year?
This has been my
I feel like
worst
it's been
year
my
without a
worst and
doubt.
best year. Like, as in worst. Like, today I was even thinking about it. All of the pain, like when I was a suicidal teenager, like all of the heartbreak. Like, I can think of a month that has been as.
Is it?
But I think for me, praise God. Like, we hope. But for me, the worst parts of 23 happened when I turned 23.
Okay, yeah.
Like that few months of like from May.
Yeah.
Now I feel like things are just like bad, but like I'm enjoying life.
Yeah, fair.
Like,
That's real.
Shit's bad, but I'm
That's
enjoying
real.
life. Like,
That's very real.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't have it in me. Everyone keeps saying it gets worse. I do
Let me
not
even
have
take
it
off
in
my
me.
beanie, child.
Me, I'm not.
because, listen, I'm
not
hot
the strongest.
thinking about 23.
I'm not. You know, people say I'm not God's strongest. I'm not even the weakest. I'm not on. I'm not in the army. They never recruited me. They never called me. Please, I can't. I'm so sorry. I feel like my whole life has just been suffering. I really hope that 23 is not as bad as everyone says.
Nah, I don't know what's that like. What
I
it's
didn't believe it
about.
either.
How's it been?
I thought it was like bullshit, but like 23
God.
ran me over, picked me up, took me to a hospital, then stabbed me in the hospital
Yeah.
chair,
Yeah,
then took
yeah.
me to another room in the hospital, then smothered me until my last fucking breath. Then they saved me for a bit, only for me to leave the hospital and then get knocked by a fucking lorry backwards and forth because they were trying to park into a parking spot and they didn't realise that my ass was there. 23 was ridiculously bad. Like,
Really?
awful. Worst year of my life. So when Sis is like, 20-something, she's like, oh yeah, praying my 20-something, all that shit. I'm like, baby.
When she's like,
she
praying
says,
they don't kill me.
They don't kill me? I'm like, nah, that part, I reload it because I'm like, nah, I'm praying. This shit don't kill me. Like,
I
this
feel
is
like your
crazy.
20s. I feel like your 20s start when you're 22 because when I was 21, everyone was like that barely counts. But now I'm 22. I'm like actually starting my 20s.
Yeah, I feel like 22 is when it starts.
Yeah.
No, not when shit starts to go left, but like
But
when,
just
you're 20.
Yeah, no,
starts.
definitely. Because
21, you're still 19,
like,
really.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
you're
was
still
still
a
in
teenager.
uni.
Yeah.
Like now, I'm living like independently. I'm working.
And that's
so
the
I'm, like,
thing. I feel like you're a teenager until after uni.
I feel like everyone's a teenager until like their late 20s. That's what I think.
Period. I'm gonna run with that because
I think
have a problem
genuinely
I'm a 23
because
year old.
because when you think about it right now, this is the first time we've all had some sort of like big like freedom in a big way.
Yeah.
And I feel like everyone is only just now like coming into themselves.
I 100%
You
agree.
can see, and I can see with like my friends, like when we've met when I was like 19, people have changed so much because
I 100%
everyone is
agree.
only just, I think, realizing that like, oh shit, like this is life, like this is what we're doing. Like
Right.
everyone's like, oh, because you're looking at people like, damn, like this is gonna be so and so's career, like this is it, like we're here.
Life.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's interesting because I also do feel like now this 23, halfway through the 23, is the first time in my life where I've had absolutely zero doubts about what my career path is, what my life path is. Like I'm calm. I know what I'm doing here. I don't feel lost anymore. I'm not
Yeah.
Bambi. Bambi has grown up. Like
Yeah, that's good.
Do you feel like that after, even though it's been terrible, do you feel like you've like learned or like, do you feel like there's anything where you're like, okay, like I know what I'm doing now?
I was literally speaking to someone about this today. Like, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing yet. But in terms of like myself, this year's reaffirmed a lot of things for me in terms of like trusting my instincts, doing certain things, making certain mistakes. I definitely feel like that part has been affirmed. Like, you kind of know, I've learned to trust my instincts a lot more. Because even like from the stories I've just told you, like, babe, if I trust my instincts, I would not been in that fucking predicament. But do you get it? So I feel like 23 for me has legit been about making mistakes. And like making mistakes, taking risks, doing what the fuck I want. Because at the end of the day, who's going to beat me up?
Real.
And seeing where that lands me. Because I've always had a fear about regrets in general. And being like, I never want to live my life through like a lens of resentment that I didn't do this when I was older. And I didn't make this choice. Or I didn't fuck around and do that thing. So I've done a lot of stupid shit this year. I'm not going to lie.
As you should do.
As you should, yeah.
But I'm just like, when I'm dealing with the consequences of it and the mistakes of it, cool, I'm like pulling my fucking hairs out. But I'm also same times like, like, this is kind of what your 20s are about. Like, figuring things out. And then that brings me to the whole thing I was talking to you about earlier, where I was like, the difference between knowing when you're figuring things out and then when you're wilding out, and how thin of a line that is. Because I feel like there's so many times where I've like done stuff and it's been what I want to do, and it's not like I've done like heroin in a fucking underground, like it's nothing that crazy.
I've come close.
It's nothing that crazy, but it's been like, okay, like shoot your shot with this, or go to that, or have too much of that, or whatever it is, and indulging whatever like impulse and like has been there at the time. And I know you've been saying that you've been saying yes to things. And for a while, when I was dealing with like consequences of those things, I was thinking, shit, like maybe I'm wilding out. The only thing that saved me from actually thinking, no, I'm not, is that I kind of realized that in your process of figuring things out, if you aren't around people of like a similar age or stage in their life, they are more time gonna repress you for the things that they weren't able to experience. Or they're also gonna like make you feel guilty for making mistakes that they weren't able or like afforded to make.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I
like,
definitely feel that.
The whole concept of like grace is so conditional on where the other person who's meant to be giving you grace is in their life. And then like this year, when a lot of the people I've met have been like 25, 26, 27, and I'm like, you're being so harsh on me, but you
do you
were
ever
just
get
as
that
messy
feeling
in
of
my
like
age.
they're a little bit like jealous sometimes?
Oh, all the time.
Do you get that? Because I kind of get that from all the
pushing
people.
30, nigga.
And
you
I'm like,
pushing 30.
and I'm like, I get it, but it's also like, I'm young. Like I'm still in. I'm still in the messy part. Like I'm still in the messy part.
I'm still in my fucking messy era,
Yeah.
and you're shitting on me for being in my messy era because you don't like what I've done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in one of my recent scenarios, one of the like in the fallout, let's say, I got this whole like, oh, like this is too messy for me. I didn't deal with this like in like the last 4 years, and I'm like, but nigga, you're 27.
Yeah.
So 4 years ago, you were my age. So don't be mad at me for being messy, child. Like, listen, you
I feel like that's like the you know how people always say like older guys are a bit more like chill, which I don't necessarily think is true.
I don't think that is
but
true,
I don't think it's true. But then like you have that thing of like they think they're really chill and experienced, which is like
just
they
not.
try to market it as like that's a good thing. But then when you're trying to be young and messy, they're like,
They're not.
wait, you're being childish.
Yeah.
Oh, but you wanted the child. Babe.
Yeah.
You wanted the child. You knew my
Like,
age.
maybe if you dated someone in your
Yeah, maybe
then-
before your own age wanted you.
Why don't they
Then
want you?
Why don't they
Why
want
don't
you?
they want you? Yeah.
Where's the babes? Where's the mortgage? Where's this, you know, like what's happening?
Where's your wife,
Exactly.
sir?
And that's
Where's
the
your
thing.
wife?
So
That's the thing, like we can both talk, so let's just enjoy.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So like, I feel like when you're like being messy and you're making those mistakes and taking those risks and whatever, as long as you're not jeopardizing your fundamental beliefs and like disgracing yourself
like
to a point of
harming
no
people,
return. Listen, if you harm people by accident, please take the accountability, apologize, take the L, as long as it's not preconceived and you're not plotting on niggas and being malicious. I personally feel like make your mistakes, live your life. As long as your intentions are good, deal with whatever comes and fuck it.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like that's the line between figuring things out and wilding out. I don't know what your take
Oh no,
are.
definitely. I agree.
That makes me want to ask you guys a question. Hi, I know it's your podcast, but I wanna throw a question out there.
Go on.
Well, what's something messy that you've done this year? Ideally, something that like other people don't know about.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I
dear.
didn't draw myself out on this one.
Do you want me to draw myself out?
Yeah,
to give you
draw
time?
yourself out
Okay.
first.
So
Let me see how deep
this is, this is me repenting for my sins. Recently, so for those who don't know, I am a bipolar baddie, and I was recently having a very intense manic episode, and I was kind of feeling like fuck the world, didn't it? So I posted something on my story which was a screenshot, an out of context screenshot of like Shar and another friend reacting to a dilemma that I'd shared with them, right? And then the person that this dilemma was about,
Oh.
who is an old flame.
Okay.
The person that this dilemma was about replied to my story and said, oh, like, what's this about? And then I said, you don't want to know. And then, this is me being blunt, isn't it? And then he was just like, oh, so it's about me then? And I was just like, I was like, don't flatter yourself. But then in my manic impulse, I was just like, actually, fuck it. Like,
you're gonna beat me.
Like, no,
Are you gonna beat
that's the thing,
me?
like,
He's
you're
gonna
beat me.
pack you.
So,
That shout out Tolly T for that, by the way.
Yeah.
She's the one who put that
Who's
in
gonna beat me?
Who is going to beat me up? I love
nobody.
that. That's how it helps you.
So long story short, I admitted what the dilemma was, and it was basically whether or not I should home wreck him and his new partner. And basically, I'd kind of set that whole thing up because I knew he would reply.
Okay.
And I knew he would ask me where it was. And I knew that if I acted defiant, then he would insist.
Yeah.
Sit down.
And I took that as an opportunity to kind of like flirt, not flirting with intention, flirting just to
But just to be like, just so you know.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah, because I kind of wanted to put a feeler out there because, like, obviously we're old flames, like we're friends now, but like I want to know, like, do you still think about me? Like,
Yeah.
and let's be a bit messy. Like, tell me what you think about, like, because I know you have a partner now, so like us talking about this doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
But I just want to know. I just
Okay,
want to
but what if
entertain
it changed
myself.
something? What would you do?
Huh? It wouldn't change anything because if he had come back and said, "Oh, I think about you every morning, noon," I'm like,
Right,
"Oh,
Bridgerton.
that's very lovely."
Yeah.
Because I think about him sometimes because we're friends and he's an old flame, but like
Yeah.
doesn't mean we have to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a messy thing that I did because God knows how that could have ended up.
Okay, a messy thing that I did. I'm not going to expand on this at all.
Okay.
I'm just going to quote
Just throw it out
SOS
there.
since that's the thing. But when she said in Supermodels, I've been secretly banging your homeboy. Not to that extreme
Yeah.
extent,
Yeah.
but
Loving the crew.
Loving the crew. Loving the.
I can't lie. I'm really here for loving the crew.
I'm sorry, but if people don't want
but
you to be loving the crew,
listen.
why are all your friends fine?
Can I just say though, before everyone looks at me sideways, I've been knowing the crew. Like, let's talk about back in the day. So like, mind your fucking business.
If you knew the crew separately, then
And also the crew is
do
a
whatever
stretch.
yeah.
The crew is a stretch. And the
Do whatever
bagging,
you want.
the bagging is all a stretch.
My thing is that
This is
you know what?
hyperbole.
The thing is, no one can get at you. The issue is the crew. If it's
Yeah.
that
This is
deep, why are you all
hyperbole.
getting with me then?
Yeah.
Like, do what you want to do. Be free.
Let's also just rein it in about all.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not all.
I'm talking.
I'm not being passed around
I'm
like a
talking-
zoot.
Cast.
I'm talking in hypotheticals. I'm talking about you. I'm just saying in general.
I just want to clarify again for the sake of my brand.
Let the
It's
record show.
hyperbole. It's hyperbole. Hyperbole. Okay,
I
continue.
do have
Bro.
a loving the crew story.
Oh my god, do you? Wait. Let's get Shar's.
Yeah,
Go
Shar,
on, because I know you thought you could miss out.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a messy person.
That's good. I never thought I was a messy
The
person.
thing is, but you know what it is? Like, I haven't really started living yet. I haven't started doing this. I haven't started doing things I want to do yet. So when the time comes,
Yeah.
when we know come back, because I feel like I have it in me. And I feel like I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it's about to start.
It's starting.
I feel like it's about to start because I'm very much like, I love hearing about mess. I love the tea. But when it comes to me, I don't like problems at my front door.
Yeah.
There was a little scare this year when I thought people were trying to bring problems to me. I said, hey, please. I'm a very humble village girl. I just sit at home and mind my business. But do you know what? I want to just start being like, fuck it. I want to just have fun.
No, see, this is
I
the
feel like,
thing.
you know what it is? I realised I do not let myself have fun.
That's the thing.
You don't.
I
I
personally
don't.
would have never, ever in a million years thought of myself as messy before this year because I would legit consider everybody else.
Yep. You know when you think of everything and you're like,
and
I
think
can't
of
do it.
everything.
Yeah, there's too many
And then
outcomes.
so many things happen. I thought, wait, I'm actually doing a bit too much in terms of this
Yeah.
whole loyalty thing. Like, as long as I'm honest with everyone, who gives a shit? And sometimes you
Yeah.
got to do what you want
Serve
to
yourself
do.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And cool, that did cause messiness. I've had not a lot of apologies to make.
Yeah.
I've had one, and I made it.
And that's life. That's literally life.
Like, obviously, we're not bad people who are like, fuck everyone's feelings. We
Yeah.
condone messiness. Do what you want to do. No, don't be fucking malicious. But like, if you want to do something to make you happy and you're not going to kill anyone,
Yeah.
and you can be honest
Yeah.
about it and own it and also deal with the consequences, fuck it. We
Yeah.
ball.
It reminds me of
But
my
anyway.
favorite Rico Nasty lyric. Imagine if I cared how everybody felt, which is less so being like unapologetically like selfish and like reckless, but more so like if I cared how everybody felt, I would not move.
Oh, that's
Everyone
okay,
cares.
so when you say that's me. That is
That
literally
was me, yeah.
That is literally me, and I'm trying to figure out how to snap
You're
out of it.
paralysed by
I'm literally
considerations,
Same, I used to be.
and I have like I overthink. So when I think, let's say right now we see someone paying, you guys are like, go talk to them. My brain will play out every possible bad outcome of that situation to the point where I'm like, it's not worth it. But more time, it would have just been fun.
Yeah.
It would have been like a fun moment.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get over that, but I feel like I will end up being a messy person.
I feel like you're doing a good job. You're coming out.
You're
I'm
doing a
trying.
good job.
I literally decided to say yes to things like a few days ago.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, I need to start. Like,
and that's the thing. That's how my messiness started because I was saying yes to things.
I'm gonna start. I'm gonna turn 23 next summer, so we'll see. Bye, guys.
Okay, so
if anyone actually does want to hear my Love in the Cruise story, then you're gonna have to tune into my episode of Chirpse Hurts, which is part 2 of this episode, featuring the lovely Hyatt and Shar. I'll be saving my messiness for there. So.
I love that. Yeah. So just to clarify, so this is part 1, and then part 2 is going to be on Chirpse Hurts, which is Glow and Shar's podcast. So yeah. So moving on from the messiness, let's go on to the harder bit of it. Accountability. Do you guys feel like you're doing a good job? Well, what job do you feel like you're doing in terms of accountability? Because it can be difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Like I have this like belief that everyone's a hypocrite. It's just they don't have someone to tell them. Like you don't have that external. Like really and truly, I was speaking to my friend about this. I was like, how easy do you think it'll be to hold yourself accountable if you're surrounded by yes men? And I thought of that because of this industry. Like if you have a lot of clout, people aren't G-checking you.
Yeah.
So how do you hold yourself accountable to the shitty things that you do when you're surrounded by people who are like licking your asshole, being like, oh no, baby, it's fine, you know?
I don't think it's possible. I think you should not be around people like that.
Yeah, obviously, but those people don't realise that they're around the people like that.
I feel like, do you know what? Honestly, there's some people who, you have a point in your life where you gain like a certain level of self-awareness, which I feel like when you're like a little kid, you don't really have it. When you're like a teenager, you're a bit like self-centered, and you get to a point where you're like, okay, I need to actually look at what I'm doing, because it's very easy to blame the world.
Yeah.
Like feeling like the world is against you or whatever, just in any situation. But I feel like some people have that point where they realize and they start to work on it. Some people never have that point, and they are never going to be self-aware. And sometimes I envy those people, because I'm not gonna lie,
they seem happy.
They seem happy.
It's like
but then it's also like
about
you
critical thoughts.
but you see how like they're surrounded by like fake people, or you know that like they're not a very good person. It's like you don't really want to be that. But sometimes you just don't want. It's a bit tiring, like trying to be better.
No, remember the other day I had like tweeted about that question about how often do you think people look at themselves and think, am I a good person? And Shar and I were kind of like relating over the fact that we're like obsessive over it, where we like constantly, and this comes from what you said about being paralyzed by consideration, because I spent so long kind of considering everyone and then being like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that because this person could maybe be hurt and I constantly, I think this year when I've been doing more things for myself, have gone into that cycle of like, fuck, am I a good person? Am I not?
You start being way too hard on yourself.
That just opened my whole eyes, because at the end of the day, it always comes back to that question: am I a good person?
Am I a good person?
Yeah.
And
but you know what? I saw something interesting. Like I saw a TikTok, and this person was saying, you know, like I was raised religious, but like I don't really have any religious trauma. But then went on to be like, but I'm always in my head trying to decide if I'm a good person. I'm always kind of waiting for this judgment that I feel like is kind of coming from somewhere.
So you do,
and it's basically like you do. And I never thought I had religious trauma. I've said this. I'm like, I don't really think I do, but I do in that sense, because I'm always waiting to be judged, waiting to find out if I'm good, because I was raised with that thing of one day you're going to be judged and you're going to go to heaven or hell. And I think that actually affected how I thought when I was a child, because in how I was raised, it was like, at the end of the day, when you get judged on Judgment Day, you're either going to be good or bad. And I think I internalized that. But the thing is, there's no such thing as being good or bad, which is hard for me to let go of, because sometimes I like to put things in boxes. You either are a good person or a bad person, but like, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
Do you know that's... So you just illuminated me. Like I'm realizing things. No, because you're talking about religious trauma. Because like I'm someone who isn't shy about my religious trauma, but I've never necessarily considered it in that way because of how much I reject it.
Yeah, exactly.
So for example, like I used to have the morality complex where I was like, I'm beating myself up as a teenager because I feel like a bad person, because I'm queer, because I'm doing alcohol, because I have these thoughts, because I just because I'm a teenager, right? And so when I got to the point where I rejected religion and I became vehemently anti-morality, I no longer cared. And so like for a couple of years I was just like, the question was, am I a good person? The answer was, I don't care. But that I don't care was more of like a rebellious I don't care.
Yeah.
And then when I got to about 21, 22, the I don't care was more of like a shrug, like, oh no, I genuinely don't care whether I'm a good person or not. It just so happens that I'm doing good things because that's what makes sense to me. And now I'm 23, it's about to be 2023 as well. And I feel like my answer to the question slightly changed, whereas the question is, am I a good person? The answer is yes. But the extension of that answer is, but not because I'm trying to be. I don't do things in trying to be a good person. I do things because they make sense to me or because they're right for me. It just so happens that being good makes sense to me. Because I do a lot of things which I would say are morally abject. And I don't beat myself up for them. I don't think it takes away from me being a good person, because I know that when I am doing good things, it's not because I want to be seen as good, and it's not because I want to be good in the eyes of some deity or some like paranormal force. Like, it's just because I want to, like, because I have the freedom. I'm choosing to do this when it's not necessarily easy, when it doesn't necessarily benefit me directly. I'm still choosing to do it because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Goodness makes sense sometimes, and so does badness sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to beat myself up for choosing either one. I'm just going to do what makes sense.
That I'm so jealous that you're able to like distance morality, like, do you know what I mean, in that way, to be like, I'm doing what makes sense regardless of the outcome. Because I definitely feel like I relate more to Shar's perspective, where it's like, because I've been raised religious and I still am, like, to an extent religious, I do still think at the end of the day, like, shit, what were my intentions behind that? Even if my intentions were good, my actions weren't, does that make me any less of a good person? Okay, now if I'm going to rectify that, is it still good or is it selfish? Is it because I want to be or like feel good?
Yeah.
Does that still make me good? Does it negate it? And I feel like I'm like in this cycle of overthinking things. And the danger of that is when you start to take like external like input as truth. And there's like guidance for whether you're doing good or bad, because not everybody is going to say, like, number one, the truth, or their intentions aren't always to make you feel good. Like, sometimes make you doubt yourself, sometimes makes you overthink, or to whatever. So I feel like the whole concept of like accountability and also like this whole am I a good person, whatever thing, is something that I'm really struggling with from a place of like, now I'm doing what I want for me. And I don't think it's possible to do that and consistently do the right thing.
Yeah.
But it's like dealing with the aftermath of it, where I'm just like, okay, now what?
I feel like where I try to sort of help myself on that, because it's one thing to like recognize like a toxic like thought process that you might have, like how we go in circles around if we're good or not. My thing is that like, I'm probably still always going to think that to some extent, but I just try to think, I like to believe, like, I believe in like, in love, in like, my main thing is like love. I believe that most people, even though I think the world is terrible, I think that most people like want to be good.
Yeah.
And I don't think it necessarily matters if like what your driving force for whatever it is you're doing is. But I think as long as my thing is, I think most people want to be good, and you can see that in people. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to do bad things.
Yeah.
But it just means that they're trying to be good. And whatever way you want to look at that is like, is fine.
Yeah.
But I think as long as you know, because you know what, the other day, I was on the tube and it was late and I was like, oh God, I hope no one, starts harassing me or something. This guy starts talking to me. I was thinking, oh, please. But it turns out he was like some sort of like really like Christian person. And he starts asking me if I believe in God. And I was like, oh no. Then he starts telling me that I'm going to go to hell. He's like, you're going to go to hell because you don't believe in God. And I was like, that's fair enough. But like, I think I'm trying to be a good person. I think that's all anyone can do.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like people, whatever you believe, whatever you don't believe, if you want to be good, then be good.
Yeah.
But I've learned there's no point beating yourself up. There's no point, because the thing is, you can't be perfect, I can't be perfect, but you're not trying to be bad, I know I'm not trying to be bad.
I know,
that's it.
but I think it's very easy to say don't beat yourself up. Certain things.
I'll be doing it.
Like, I'm in the ring with myself.
It's difficult, but I
Like-
feel like I tried to do that thing where it's like, imagine you're talking to your friend.
Yeah,
in your
that whole
head.
compassionate friend. That's my first therapist.
Because you know what, even though
This
I still do it, I
Shout out,
know
friend.
I don't do it as much as I used to when I was like a teenager. When I was like in it, and when you're just so negative and like mean to yourself.
Yeah.
I don't do it anywhere near as bad as I used to.
I was actually going to say, like, as a bit of practical advice, because like I feel like sometimes when I say things, people are just like, oh, I wish I could think like you. How do you do this? And I'm like, I wish I had practical advice. Here's some practical advice. Where you are right now, everything you've done before that, you need to really dedicate time to like forgiving yourself.
How the fuck does one forgive themselves?
No. And when I say forgive yourself, I mean literally. Where if I punch you in the face right now, right, and I want your forgiveness, what will I do? I will ask for it. Like, I will ask for it. You need this.
So you want to ask yourself for forgiveness?
This is something that's like so. It's so cringe to do, and it's so hard, and you might like destroy yourself.
No, like fuck the whole cringe thing. By the way, that's the whole point of this podcast. Like,
sit yourself in front of a mirror.
Oh God.
And you need to ask yourself for forgiveness. Like quite literally, over and over again. You need to beg for it. You need to plead. Like, imagine that someone has murdered your family. Like,
Astaghfirullah.
I find that difficult because if let's say I believe that some of the things I've done are wrong, why would I grant the forgiveness?
Yeah,
that's how my brain is set up.
Because if you don't, you're not going to do anything. you're not going to do anything with yourself, because if you don't forgive yourself, you'll never allow yourself the freedom to do things that you want to do. Like, you have to sit there in front of the mirror, ask yourself for forgiveness, and give it over and over again. There's a scene in How to Get Away with Murder where Annalise is like,
she's like drunk as fuck.
Yeah, she's drunk as fuck. She's thinking about all of the sins that she's committed to get herself to this place.
Point.
Yeah, and then she's in a hotel room, she's punching up pillows, and she's angry, and then she starts crying, and she's just sobbing like, Annalise, I forgive you. And that is what we all, like, the only reason, like, I've literally done this. Like, after that scene, nobody told me to do this. After that scene, I was like, this was put in because it probably works. This scene was written because they consulted a therapist, and this is something that probably works, so let me try it.
Yeah.
And I sat there and it didn't work. I tried it the next day, I sobbed. Because I thought of everything that I've beaten myself up for, everything I've self-harmed for, everything I've drank too much for, everything I've ended a relationship for, everything that I have lashed out for, everything that I've cried myself to sleep for. And I said, those things have happened. And the fact that I'm here, like, ruminating over them means I've learned from them. And so the purpose has been served. There's no point in making mistakes if you don't learn from them. So I have made the mistake and I have learned. The purpose has been served. The mission is complete. So I forgive you because you've done it. Like, you have made the perfect mistake.
I love that, actually, because I have such a tendency to beat myself up and be like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that. And then I'm just stuck in this cycle of, like,
do you know what it is as well?
self-loathing.
It's also like an ego thing that you have to realise. Like, it's an ego thing for us to now believe that there's this goodness and we're not meeting it, so we have to beat ourselves up. But who says that we are pure good? In what world are we ever going to be? Like, the thing is, it's like we're setting ourselves up because we're never going to be able to be like, I never did anything wrong. But that is right. And also, what you're talking about, like, forgiving yourself and having this big, like, that is scary.
Yeah.
And it's way easy to be avoidant and just be like, I don't want to deal with that. But at the end of the day, you have to keep going. Like, you're going to have to keep
before
living.
the New Year's, I do need to maybe have that.
I think
because it's like, I think also religiously, like in Islam, it's like you should act with good intention, and then when you sin, Allah will be the one to forgive you. So I think even from that, like, logic, I'm always thinking that forgiveness has to be external and we will eventually come if you repent enough or if you do this enough or whatever. But the idea of forgiving of self, like, let's say this is like a scenario where there's no resolve, or it's like, okay, well, suck your mum, you suck your mum, we're not talking no more. How do you get that sense of, like, closure or forgiveness, you know? And I think what you just said, I've never, everyone always says, forgive yourself, but realistically, that is actually all you can do. And I guess the whole feeling remorse, feeling the loathing, feeling the shame, is an indication that you don't want to repeat the same mistake.
I've just had the realization that I need to forgive my younger self for not doing any of the things I wanted to do. Because I was like that. Because I grew up, like, quite, like, repressed in, like, an emotional way. Like, I didn't let myself, like, feel big things. I didn't let myself do things. I didn't take risks. Like, I didn't do anything that I felt like could just, you know, cause trouble. And I feel like because I'm used to living that way, now it's hard for me to, like, break out of it. But I have to be like, do you know what? Sometimes I'm like, I feel sad because I'm like, damn, I kind of, like, wasted, you know, like, that time. But it's like, it's past. All I can do now is try and live better. There's no point in me doing the same thing and be like, oh, I didn't do anything. I need to start doing shit now. Like, that's it. That's literally it. Like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I feel like this is such, like, a New Year's episode.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like every time me and you hop on a mic,
we do.
it ends up-
Deep in things.
Guys, if you haven't listened to it yet, go listen
stuff.
to me and Hyatt's episode on Chirpse Hurts. I think it's episode 21 from this January. It was very insightful.
It was really insightful. And, like, we had that was a cathartic day.
Yeah.
Like, afterwards, we got lit. Like,
I feel like that was a day that, like, really solidified our friendship as well.
I agree. I genuinely agree.
Well, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like maybe it's just because I'm trying to, like, force myself to live life. But I feel like there's, like, a big change coming.
I agree.
I feel like we've been in darkness for so long.
And I believe
Like,
the light is coming.
I'm not gonna lie.
Stretch your hands. Can I get an amen?
Even after this winter is going to be very cold, but I just feel like after this winter, I just feel like things will be a bit okay, because what I'm learning, one thing that's really difficult for me is, like, I set myself a lot of goals. Like, when it came, like, uni was so difficult for me. Do you know what? Life had just been difficult. Just been difficult. But I was just like, hey, I'll get out of uni, I'll get a job, I'll move out, do that. I've done all those things. I'm moving out, I'm doing a job I wanted to be in. But then I still felt like, oh shit. Then I realized that's not how life is. Like, there's always gonna be something that I thought there was gonna be a point where I'd be like, oh, okay, I've done the things. But that's not real.
You have
But I
moments,
feel like
but not.
that's like a good thing. It's better to be like, I'm trying to like learn how to be okay with the fact that I don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Because I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
I need to know what's going to happen.
Same.
Like I need
Every time when shit gets tough, I'm like, let me go back to corporate because at least I know exactly what's going to happen every day.
You even said that today.
I said that today.
No, I didn't acknowledge it when you said it because I've clocked that you always say that. Yeah, when you're scared, when you're scared of your future, you always say, let me just go back to corporate because corporate makes sense. Corporate, someone
like
is telling you
stability.
Even
exactly.
the other day, I asked her, I was like, how's work? She was like, I don't really work. I said, what?
No, because realistically, I
I
feel like a fucking fraud.
I know what you mean, but
Do you know what I
I know
mean?
what you mean. It might not be the same like amount of like actual like demanding energy as some other random job, but a job is a job.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I feel like one thing as well with people like us, we don't like big ourselves up. Like you're out here thinking, oh, but it's not really this, and I could be doing this, I could be doing that. The thing is, you're doing your shit. You're doing it well. Like sometimes, and I feel like especially when you've like been raised with like, oh, you know, like always be humble in this. Sometimes, yes, be humble, but also big yourself up because you have to be your own biggest fan. Like that's literally it.
I don't know because the last time I picked myself up, my life changed for the worse. So, whoever put that judge on me, I'm so sorry. Let's hug it out.
You don't have to do it publicly, but just to yourself. Just to yourself. Just to yourself. Just be like, do you know what? I'm actually doing things like, I'm doing good. Like, you have to just say it to yourself. And I feel like when people say that, I used to always be like, but how do you just... But it's like a very literal thing. Like, you can actually speak it out loud to yourself.
That's one thing I struggle with.
One thing, you know what gets me? When you start, like, the whole inner child stuff, that's when I start being like, oh, it hurts because... Talking to your inner child can just feel so crazy.
Wait, expand on that. What do you mean?
So right now, I was doing inner child work like the last 2 years, and right now I'm doing inner teen work. So inner child work is basically sort of imagining your inner child as an actual like physical person, and treating them better, being better for them. So that means working through the things that like you learned in childhood, whether it's like unhealthy attachment styles or coping mechanisms, fear of rejection and stuff like that, and also just like giving yourself like the space to be soft. So like for me, I started inner child work by watching more cartoons that I liked as a kid.
Okay.
And then it went on to colouring.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it went on to eating foods because I want to eat this food, not because it's healthy or because I need to eat this many meals a day. Snacking more, going to the cinemas more, going and doing fun things. But then it's also like coping with. My dad left me when I was 7, and how did that make me feel as a child? I did not have the tools to process that then, but I can process that now. And how would I try and nurture a child whose dad left them if they were 7? And you do that for yourself.
And I think also it's realizing, it's like accepting the fact that all these things that are happening to you now, it's also happening to the child version of you, because we think in our minds, we're like, I'm not a kid anymore, but you are that same kid. That same kid who was scared, he was sad, he was insecure, that same kid is still inside of you. So it's like when you're being hard on yourself, like how we're like, are we good, are you good? You're looking at that little kid who was terrified of trying to be good, and you're looking at that kid saying, you need to be better, you're not being good enough. But that, honestly, you should, and when you literally, you honestly get like old pictures of yourself when you're little, try to say those things to the picture. You will not be able to say it. You will not look at that little girl and say the things that you say to yourself now. Like, but you need to like actually love yourself as if you were a child, because you still are.
I actually quite like that this is like practical loving yourself things. When you say love yourself, I'm like,
I need straightforward instructions. When people start being abstract, they lose me, because I'm like, I don't really know what you mean by that.
But you know what? I feel like this is at least like actual steps you can take to forgiving yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I generally would say, okay, what I've been allegedly told, so I can be a bit of an angry babe. Yeah, but there's a lot of things that piss me the fuck off. Do you get it? So
I mean, there's a lot to be pissed off with.
But cool. I was like digging into that and being like, okay, like why can I be so like reactive and like harsh and like angry and things? And it came kind of down to the thing of grace. And grace as a concept is like quite new to me, and I feel like I have so much resentment around grace because of the whole like considering everybody else thing. And I'm like realizing that me as a black woman is not afforded much grace. And when I consider other people, I think people have done a lot of mad shit to me, and I've never actually cut someone off of my own accord and been like, I don't want to speak to you ever again because of this and that. Do you know what I mean? It's more been because like, the situation has gone to a point where I cannot give you any more chances, otherwise you called my mum a hoe. Do you know what I mean? But when it comes to grace, I feel like I get so resentful when I'm like looking back at situations. I'm like, I've given you grace and you've never once given it to me. You've made that mistake and I've loved you through that mistake and I've consoled you through that mistake. When it's me, you've never given me a break. Or like, even, I know you guys don't really watch Real Housewives of Potomac, but that's why I was talking about it on my story, when it's like that whole idea of this dark-skinned woman has been the victim of this like like assault, and she's the one apologizing, and the person who's actually done wrong to her hasn't apologized at all and has isolated her and ostracized her, even down to the production. They've ostracized Wendy, all of that type of stuff, and that triggered me so much. So I'm like, bro, I've been Wendy in so many scenarios where I feel like, and it's not some boo-hoo, whatever. I have been a cunt and people have been a cunt to me. That's fine, but I mean scenarios where it's like, bro, I have loved you through your mess, and when it's been me who slipped up a fraction the same way, you were so quick to like punish me that I think I've internalized so much anger around those situations that I haven't learned how to release.
But you know what? Yeah, that brings me back to accountability, because one of the things I had to learn, because I'm also like that, is that you have to hold yourself accountable in the sense that, like, as harsh as it is, no one asked you to do those things.
Yeah.
No one told you to be a doormat and let people do those things. And just because you doesn't mean they have to do it. And that's like a hard pill to swallow. Because you feel like you deserve it, but you don't really.
Yeah.
And it's not that people don't owe you good things. I hate that whole sentiment. People do owe you good things. But sometimes you yourself, for no reason, have decided now that
if you had boundaries, you wouldn't.
If you had boundaries, you wouldn't have been. And it's easy.
Put the egg on your own.
And
Fuck, I have a big forehead as well. Fuck.
It's a mix of two things. It's like, the person is probably inconsiderate, but you also had no boundaries. Like, I had no boundaries.
I've been a fucking
And you know when it's like you have no boundaries and then you get angry too late, you're thinking like more of a dickhead. Because you're like, damn, I can't even say shit now.
No, the thing is about me, I'm gonna say shit. I'm a cool.
Do you know what? I've only had that like twice where I got because it got too bad.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? Fuck this. I was like, you are great. I had this big friendship breakup, and I was like, no. You, after all of what I've done,
was
you
that
do
in
not
January? Remember?
Yeah. And that was, I kind of, that's, you know what, me, I'm not an angry person, but that's one thing, like, I need to learn on getting angry and let myself get angry for myself, because I do not back myself as much as I should.
Benefit so
but
much
I got that one time, that nigga pushed me to my limits, and I said, what we're not gonna do is sit here and act like I wasn't a good fucking friend, bitch. That's the line that I can't. I was thinking you could, and he, I said, let me not. But that's the one time I was like, do you know what? No, because for once in my life, I could see it so clear. The universe said, you want to see that you're a fool. It showed me clear cut. And everyone was like, yeah, we don't know why you were still friends with that person to this day.
Yeah, it was agonizing.
Sometimes you gotta let the top of sing and cuss people out.
But sometimes, like, I think the thing is, I needed that. And if I needed that, because all my other situations, it's been very much like, there's never been like a big blowout. You kind of just let it go. Like, you get a bit angry. But that time, I was like, no, the universe was like, you better grab me and said, you better say your piece. And from then, I was like, yeah, do you know what? A lot of these situations, I'm allowing people to treat me badly.
Yeah.
And then later being like, but I treated you nice. Why didn't you treat me? Bitch, why would they? Why would they do that? But yeah, that's a big thing to try and like deep on yourself, because it's easy to be like, oh, that person was shit, but also it's like, what was I doing?
No, honestly.
What was I doing?
Honestly.
Talking, like, hearing you speak about like how angry you got. First of all, it's so nice to see you, because like I've been friends with you for 3 years, and like
I honestly think in our whole friendship, that's probably one of the only times you've seen me angry.
Yeah, and whereas I'm like I'm rage incarnate, like, and like one of the things that I clocked when I was doing inner child work is you can't control when the inner teen comes. So the moment, the specific like moment that the inner teen activated, inner child you can choose, because you're the adult in the situation. Try controlling a hormonal 15 or 16-year-old. You can't. So I remember I was in my room going through old papers. I found some documents, like some medical documents from when I had behavioural issues, and on reading these documents, it's very clear to me that like that is an autistic child. This was an autistic child who was struggling with grief, who was struggling with not fitting into the education system, who was struggling with ADHD, things like that. I got so angry because firstly I was sad for the child. I think that's when that moment was when I really sobbed and I cried for the child, because I was like, no, like nobody helped you.
Like we deserve better.
Like you realized you deserve so much
you
better.
felt by the adults around you.
And I just kept saying out loud, like, you deserved so much better.
Yeah.
And then,
that just made me emotional.
No, like,
oh my god.
Yeah, that sentence is the right one to say. You deserve so much better. Anyways, but then the me in present who is looking after the child, I got angry. I was like, you deserved so much better, and I was mad at my mum for her incompetence. I was mad at the education system who could not recognize these symptoms. I was mad at the medical professionals who marked me as mildly autistic. That's not a thing. There is no scale. There's no threshold of autism. Like, you're autistic or you're not. And so that meant a whole lifetime of education of being diminished. And so now I'm in a teen where like The inner teen is jaded. They are mad. They are pissed. They think everyone's a fucking cunt. Like I've been so bitter this year, and like to the point where
I can tell when your inner teen is like really
thing.
coming. I feel like I haven't started on inner teen yet because I still feel like I'm in my teen brain. Like low key, I actually feel
I
like
haven't
I'm.
started on either. You guys have like opened up a world for me.
Inner child is no. Once you
Inner
start
child
into light work, inner child's light work.
Inner
compared
child
to
is
the teen.
it can be heavy at the start, but I think compared to the teen work, it can feel like. Lighter. But
It's
inner,
like the teenage
child work
hormones
is.
have come back. My crushes have been as intense. I've been as impulsive, reckless. Like
Yeah, I feel like the way how I've lived this year, the impulsiveness is maybe what I couldn't do as like a teenager. When
That's
you
me.
grow up in
I'm
a
trying to start being more
household.
impulsive. Yeah.
Like I feel like I've done that for myself in like a kind of lit way. Like I take pride in the fact that I've done what
But you know what?
the fuck
Even
I
though you're not
wanted
aware
to
of it, that is like inner child work. Letting yourself do the things that you couldn't have done when you were younger.
Yeah.
Giving
That
yourself
is
permission.
actually.
Yeah, man. Oh, damn. So wait. No, because these 20s have really been something.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, fuck.
You know what's scary? The fact that like you guys are only 23, like this is like the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
This is nothing. This is.
Inshallah, man.
Well, let's just hope that we've got most of the trouble out of the way, the hard stuff.
I really hope so.
Have you guys felt that thing? I think it comes a bit later, but everyone's like, oh, when you're like around 24 and you feel like your brain finished developing. Have you guys felt like that?
Mine hasn't finished, but I felt it settled this year.
People say that they can literally feel themselves like becoming a bit more like mature and like, wow, my brain's actually like fully.
I think I've been feeling myself because I'm 24 on the 26th. So like I've been feeling myself become more mature in terms of like being less reactive about things. So like there's times when I've said vile, like bad things because I've just been like, I'm so angry. I'm just like, fuck it, whatever, cool. But I feel like I've felt myself getting to that point. I've been doing better at like taking myself out. But I know that sounds minor because most people learn to do that earlier. But I think for me,
No, for you, that's big, yeah.
I'm like, I can see that. And I guess in terms of decision making, in terms of like, stop being less naive. Because I feel like, especially navigating this industry, the whole concept of trust is so like skewed because your colleagues are like your pseudo friends and you don't realize the pseudo part until they fuck you over,
Yeah.
which is like not inevitable, but it happens more often than not.
Yeah.
And so for me, there's been like 3 times this year when I'm like, I thought you were my dog. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, but for you it's sticky because that's actually colleagues, but then it feels like friends.
Because you're partying with them all the time, you're seeing them all the time, you're doing all this, you're taking pictures, you're this, you know, like the line gets so blurred. I've spoken about it so many times in the podcast, but I think that's one part that I feel like my brain is developing with in terms of like trusting your instincts, not being as naive, and also not letting people like, I guess, shame you when you make mistakes. Like as I said about like elders who want to shit and like shit on you and be like da 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 da. It's like don't impose your own standards onto me when I'm figuring that out for myself, and that is my right, and I will protect that right. And if you try and fuck with that right, then you can fuck off, you know. And I feel like in a sense it feels rebellious for me, and I don't know. I feel like that comes with age.
I like that though.
That's good. I'm happy for you.
Do you feel like you have like a better idea of like this is Hayat?
I have a better idea.
Do you have like a more solid identity now?
Definitely more solid identity. In terms of like fashion and style and shit, I don't think as much. I just know that I like what I like and I'm gonna buy what I like. At least now. Like I hadn't bought anything all year up until before I went to Brazil.
Crazy.
I know. And then I was like, oh, I like this. This is funky. Like it doesn't make sense, but let me wear this fucking bright green snood on my head and maybe look ridiculous, but whatever.
Snood.
Thank you. So I feel like in terms of like me, myself, I know who I am more in terms of like what I want out of people, what I expect out of myself, where my blind spots are, my faults are. Like I can be very defensive. I can sometimes act before I think, and then that comes off as not being the kindest. But like same time, I also know that I am a good friend, and I am like I'm perceptive, and I care about people, and I you know, like there's certain things that you do learn and you don't learn. I guess I'm still trying to figure out like the scope of all of those things. But yeah, how about you guys?
I mean, yeah, I'm like a younger 23 than you.
Yeah.
So I'm like halfway through my 23 year. And I'm feeling like, I know who I am now.
Yeah.
My brain kind of feels like, you know, like when water starts to freeze, it's not ice yet. Like I'm not solid yet, but like it's getting there. Like the surface is frozen, most of the inside's frozen. The core is still a little bit liquid. There's still a bit of room. But yeah, like I know who I am. Again, like you said, like I'm very intentional now. Like, I know how to communicate my needs. I'm a lot blunter, which Shar's helped with a lot. Like, I feel like I'm very, very blunt now, to the point of, like, not even blunt in a rude way, but as in, like, I don't want to say too much about this because this is kind of like what I planned for.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, like, I know what I want and I know how to communicate that, and I'm not afraid of communicating that.
Yeah.
Asking for help is one thing that I'm trying to do better, but yeah, and when it comes to, like, creativity, career path, talent, skills, mental health and stuff, I'm like, like that's pattern. Like, I know those things.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like with the career stuff, like, I think I need more support in terms of, like, you only know you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So even in terms of, like, things we've spoken about today, I wouldn't even think that's possible from doing stuff like this. And I think that's the part that I'm still figuring out, and also communicating what I want from people. Like, I know what I want, but I don't feel like I have the right to ask of it, and that probably is going to divulge, like, that's probably to do with the whole inner child thing. I don't know, I'll figure that out.
Yeah.
But Shar, how about you?
What was the question I'm asking? Like,
Do you feel like you know who you are yet? Because you
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Let me be so real. I have no clue. I'm really, like, trying to figure out how to figure it out, because, like you said, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But I do not, like, I just have no clue. Like, I grew up so terrified of everything all the time. So scared of doing the wrong thing, so scared of being a bad person, so to the point where I didn't do anything. I don't make a lot of mistakes, but that's because I don't try a lot of things that I know I could be bad at, which is not a good way to live. But I thought growing up, getting, like, just having it instilled into you that you need to always be good, and if you mess up, it's the worst thing in the world, and your parents are gonna be saying, like, it made me feel so scared. But now I'm like, I'm kind of excited to figure it out, to figure out who I am and what I actually. Recently, like, people have been asking me, like, oh, like, what do you like to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't let myself have fun. And so I'm excited to figure that out. But it's kind of like, it's a bit scary and difficult. But what helps me is, like, being surrounded by people that are, like, loving and nice. Yeah. Because growing up,
compassionate friends, definitely.
I didn't accept, like, I never thought that I was, like, a cool or nice person. I didn't think people liked me. Like, even though I had friends, I didn't believe it. Yeah. But now I can believe it because I'm, like, actually letting myself. I'm like, do you know what? Yeah, because why would everyone be lying? Like, yeah, like, I'm lit and people like me, like, it's fun. So I need to figure out what I like to do, but it can be hard. Like, I struggle with, like, derealization, which, if anyone doesn't know, it's like a mental thing where basically you don't feel real and you don't feel, like, attached to your body or your life or anything. And I struggle with that a lot, like, a lot. And it means that I don't ever live in the moment because I'm not really, I'm kind of just, I feel like
you're,
this
like, questioning your reality.
Yeah,
like,
literally, like, I feel like sometimes there's this big barrier. Like, I always say to people when they look at me weird, I'm like, oh my God, I always say, I just remember that I have a body. People are like, what do you mean? I'm like, no, like, literally, sometimes it feels like I'm like a floating sentient, like, orb, and, like, if I forget that as much as I'm experiencing the world is experiencing me. I forget that second part, and then I'm like, oh shit, like, you guys are actually, like, you know, like, we're actually all talking right now, and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. So I have to, like, manually make myself do that, but I need to figure out how to live in the moment. That's my whole thing. But yeah, that was a long answer, but yeah, I don't really know who I am, but I'm excited to find out.
Good.
I like that answer.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
where I'm at.
Okay, so if you guys watch Sugarcoat, you should know that I end every episode on the hard way, something you've done, like, the hard way, you know, or a never that deep, so something you used to think was deep and you just realise it's not. Does anyone want to start?
Not me, I need to think.
Something.
Wait, what's the hard way again?
Something you've done, like, I guess that's different, against the grain, like, against the crowd. You've been a rebel and it's just worked out for you. Something you've done the hard way that's paid off.
Okay. Something I've done the hard way that's paid off. Whoa, my brain just exploded with so many possibilities.
I'll give you some time to think and I'll start, yeah?
Okay, yeah, you start.
I always go with a never that deep, but I think I'm going to go with the hard way this time. And I think for me, as I've said, like, the whole striving to be a good person thing has kind of come hand in hand with, like, trying to be perfect, which is why my sister says still stressing perfection. I was like, oh, you ate. But I think being a messy bitch for my happiness is something that I've done that's hard. Like, I've had to deal with the consequences and deal with all these emotions and experiences that I'm not used to, like, experiencing, and thinking of myself in a completely different way because I was doing things from like a comfort zone area, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think being the mess, sometimes being the problem, sometimes being the issue, and kind of like growing through that instead of playing it safe. So yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the hard way as well. This brings me back to the episode that we filmed in January, and that is rejecting avoidance. Not all the way there yet, but in the last 11 months, I think I've done a pretty fucking good job. Like,
Yeah, you have.
I feel like I have a very good, like, I'm very perceptive of myself. So like I will know I'm about to be avoidant before I'm avoidant, rather than like realizing in retrospect. So if I can feel like, you know, that resistance inside you where it's just like you want to do something, but or like something that presents itself, but then you just feel yourself like cringe or like just step back or just like, no, let's play it safe. So as soon as I have that feeling, that's when I know I need to like power through it.
Yeah.
So that could just be like stating exactly how something makes me feel, saying I will expect this from you, I want this, I don't like this has been a hard one.
Yeah.
Like no's and like negatives, I find that really hard to say to people, or like I like calling out friends, addressing issues at home, asking for help, just like avoiding anything. I feel like I've really done that the hard way this year.
Oh, I love that though.
Okay, I'm gonna do like a not that deep thing.
Yeah.
Which I've learned like over recent years, but I feel like it's not that deep to like look like a beg or be perceived as a beg, because growing up, again, being very insecure and very like not trying to look like, I was not vocal about things or people that I liked, and now try to shut me up about anything that I love. I will message people, I will be like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is so this is so nice, and like I feel like I'm really good at just saying when I appreciate things and people.
I think that's so
and
important.
I know that sometimes I can like people, I can come up intense, or people will just like, oh, I don't know. But I feel like most of the time it's like a nice surprise. People are like surprised that I'm being so, I'm like, I'm not even trying to be anything. I'm just saying what I think. I feel like it's just not that deep.
Honestly.
People are always like, especially like London creative scene, blah, blah, blah. Like no one ever wants to just be like, oh, do you know what? You're really cool. I will say, I'll be like, your work is amazing and you're so brilliant. And I'm so glad that like, I know you did, because fuck it, who cares if they want to turn around and be like, oh, like she was begging it.
Then
Fuck
that's,
you.
that's
Then
just
fuck
you being a bitch.
Then that's
honestly.
just you. I don't care. I've said my piece. I want to say it.
Honestly,
That's my thing.
heavy on that.
Yeah.
A lot of y'all could
Just
take
show
some
love
of
in
this.
it. Yeah, show
Exactly.
love. I love, guys, I just love love.
No,
We love
love.
love. I love.
I just love love. Like,
So do you know what? I would say that there's like a theme of intentionality under all of those things. And just to be an annoying ass bitch, that's our fucking segue to part 2. I know that's right. I know that's right. So yeah, tune in to Chirpse Hurts, and you are going to now see part 2 of this amazing podcast soiree situation.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys. I had
Anytime.
this was so much fun.
Now switch
Big
over
up,
to-
Hayat.
Big up Hayat.
Woo!